What's going on, guys? It's your boy Karan again. We're doing another live stream. But I wanted to address a topic today. I'm going to start doing a lot more of these live streams. It's just the easiest way for me to talk to you guys and get some things, off my chest, or if something comes up and I really want to talk about it with you guys, it's the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to start doing a lot more of these live streams. I was watching a video today from a tech YouTuber. If you guys don't know Jay Williams, that's definitely one of the better guys out there to check out. He talks about a lot of really great topics and issues, and it's not just about the tech. And then the tech that he does talk about, he talks about a lot of tech that's very good products for the Caribbean. So it's not just all the typical high-end stuff, right? So anywho, he was talking about why people hate Apple so much. And I thought it was, I mean, the arguments that were presented were very, very, very good. And I agreed with a lot of it for the most part. But I think the one thing that I try to, let my viewership know is that how mobile is in the Caribbean and how mobile is abroad is two different things. Every market is completely different from what we have here in the Caribbean. And since we don't have many YouTubers or bloggers out here in the Caribbean really trying to showcase and put light on some of these issues, you're never really going to put two and two together. And if you do, great. A lot of people don't. So that's why we're here, and that's why these blogs and these live streams are so important for us to progress in the region. So anywho, why do people hate Apple so much? You hear a lot about how the OS is boring. They're not doing too much with their OS, and it's really the same stuff with every iteration of iPhones. You still find a lot of people love their computers and their tablets just because they work. They're very smooth. The quality, the build quality, they're always on point with that type of stuff, right? But when I hear people say that they really hate Apple, it's kind of unfair in the Caribbean, right? Because one of the biggest problems is that they're overpriced. And as you guys know, we pay a big premium for these devices out here in the Caribbean, since we don't have the carrier subsidy and the deals that a lot of these other markets have, all right? So when you're purchasing an Apple product here in the Caribbean, we're paying so much more, than maybe they're even worth. But nonetheless, you're paying a lot of money for the devices, all right? So in the Caribbean, the reason why these devices are so expensive is not that the devices are not worth it, but with Apple, you're not just buying the product. In America, in Canada, in Europe, the Apple stores is really a big part of what they do. Now, when they had their keynote last month, and they were talking about the new iPhones, whatever. To me, I didn't really care. Wasn't too impressed. I mean, it's the same stuff. I mean, different hardware, same software, whatever. I'm over Apple software, but they still make good products. Not crap, but I'm just over it. The big announcement to me was what they were doing with their stores. They have revamped their already trend-setting stores. They're no longer calling them retail stores. They're calling them town squares. And what they're looking to do with their new town squares is they're going to be teaching people, hear this, they're going to be teaching people in the Apple town squares how to code. They're going to be teaching people how to build applications. This is in the store. They're going to be teaching people smartphone photography and how to get the best photos and videos out of their products. They're expanding the Genius Bar and what they're going to be able to do. So again, these are benefits that we're never, I'm not going to say never, but these are benefits that we do not have currently in the Caribbean. So when you're spending the money that you're spending abroad that has access to the Apple stores, you have access to their support, and Apple has the best support for their products, all of their products. They have the best support, especially if you throw on Apple Care. There beats nothing. Nothing beats a product going wrong, and you being able to take your product, take a short drive to your nearest Apple store, giving it to a genius, and then either fixing the problem or swapping out the device altogether. There is no other brand that does this, All right, there's no other brand that does this. There's no other brand that offers this support in most of these markets like what Apple does. And this is what I mean when Steve Jobs designed the retail stores and what he wanted them to do. He was way ahead of his time, because I mean, we see all these other retail stores, they're closing down because it's not enough just to sell a product and just have a service. You really have to do something special, and Apple is the first $1 trillion valued retail store. They're the only ones valued at over $1 trillion. All right, so they're clearly doing something wrong. So when you are purchasing an Apple product, regardless of whether you like the product or not, you are not just buying the product, you are buying into the brand, you're buying into the support, you're buying into all the extra stuff that they give you that we don't have in the Caribbean, all right? So to me, my mindset of buying a phone back in Canada is so completely different than buying it here. Because if I'm in Canada, right, what people don't know is that Apple in the retail stores offers workshops. They offer one-on-one tutorials. So back when I used to work at Apple, like I used to have, people that were in their 70s used to come up to me with their iPads and whatnot, and they're asking me questions, and they're clearly more advanced than me. But then again, they've been doing the one-on-ones and they've been working with the tutors for so long, and they're at every workshop. There is no other brand doing this. Okay, so yes, Apple devices are overpriced in the Caribbean, but that's also because you're only getting the device. You're not getting anything else that Apple offers. And that's what sucks about buying Apple products in the Caribbean. Let me just scroll through. Rajesh, what's going on? I see you. You made a point about carrier subsidies. I was talking to digital sales reps. I asked why your phone's more expensive more than the third-party sellers. Their response was that third-party sellers are purchasing used phones and open box phones while they buy brand new ones. That's a great question, Rajesh. That's not true. I'm a third-party reseller. All of my devices are brand new, and there's countless other third-party retailers where they are buying brand new stuff. So that's completely false. A lot of the times these reps don't know what is going on. They just show up to work. They're not actually interested in mobile, so they just show up to work, and whatever answer they feel like giving you that particular day is the answer you're going to get, unfortunately. But no, that's completely false. All right, Temba, I see you. Only good thing Apple used to make is their computers, but even now the newer stuff not appealing. Still rather my 2011 MacBook. Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's taste at this point. Like, I mean, in the removal of some of the peripherals and what they're doing with their computers, I don't quite fully understand. Every new year, you're changing up the jacks, you're changing up the ports, and you're forcing everybody to buy new adapters and whatnot. I don't get it. I mean, it is what it is. At that point, it feels like it's a cash grab, because I mean, they created Thunderbolt, and it was like one of the most underutilized ports for computers. You know what I mean? It only lasted for so long, then they ditched that. So I don't know that what they do on their computers in terms of their ports is very Apple, which is unconventional. Can't really always explain it. Their software is still very good. A lot of the applications that are made for Apple computers are still very good, and that's why they're still going to sell. Even though you're spending double the price of what the power that you're going to get, you know that if you were to get the same components in a PC version, that cost of that computer is going to be like a quarter of the price, right? But again, it is what it is. But I mean, that brings me back to my original point of why these devices are so overpriced, and that's just because it's just not about the product. It's you're buying into Apple and what they are going to give you. But when you don't have access to that in the Caribbean, that's a huge problem, because then the devices are just overpriced. I mean, I don't really care too much for the products itself, but I respect them to the fullest extent. J Dap, what's going on? I see you. I respect Apple so much in terms of their business model and what they're doing to help groom their clients along, because like I said, there's no other brand that's giving you the workshops, there's no other brand giving you the support. But if you're in a market that's outside of that, like the Caribbean, is it worth the money? To me, it's not. I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm not spending that kind of money. Like, look, we seen the iPhone X The 256 gig was $10,000 down here. Is it worth the money? Hell no. We know it's not worth the money. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. No way, no how. There's nobody that can come and tell me and justify the cost of an iPhone X out here in Trinidad and the other islands for my audience. There's nobody that can jump on here and justify those prices, right? It's no justification. You're not getting any of the good stuff that Apple takes that money and invests back into their clients. You're not getting any of that, right? That's a big thing. Now, the carrier subsidy is again, it's a massive thing. So Temba, your picture this morning, right? Like, let me touch on that. So the first thing you said when you posted it, right, was you're like, yo, how could the iPhone X sell out? And I had to show you that, remember, look in the fine print, right? They're paying, you could get the iPhone X for $49 a month. And we don't even know if they're paying an upfront cost. A lot of the times, these guys are not paying upfront costs in the markets that have proper device subsidy. So yeah, why not? I mean, it's the best iPhone, and if you like iPhone, go and get it. It's the same thing with Samsung or any of the other flagship devices. They're expensive, but that's because they're not meant for you to be purchasing them at full price. They are meant for you to go sign up and take a contract, a 24-month contract. Remember, Digicel and B-Mobile want you to take an 18-month contract in the Caribbean, but then you're still paying that big amount of money, right? That big lump sum of money up front, even to take it on the 18-month term and still pay, and you got to pay more monthly. But abroad, these guys are getting these phones for free. So yeah, of course the iPhone X is going to sell out. You're getting the best iPhone. You're paying $50 a month on top of your regular phone bill, and that's over a two-year contract. So yeah, it's definitely worth the money, right? And that's why those devices are always going to sell out. But for my audience here in the Caribbean, we don't live that life out here. We don't live that life. Samsung Note 8 launch. When I went, I got to speak to some of the execs. And they were asking, and as soon as they see me, they're like, oh my God. They're like, here's the anti-Samsung guy, Droid Island. And we had a very good conversation. It was all love. But at the end of the day, they understand where even though I always tell people, like, I mean, Samsung devices for the most part are not worth the money. But that's down here. They make good products, but they're just not worth the money. And if you guys are going to be selling, a Note 8 for $8,500, like how many people are really going to go and jump that money out to go and buy it, right? If you guys don't have proper carrier subsidy, right? And it's just not worth the money. So you guys need to really understand that our market in the Caribbean is more like the Chinese market. It's more like the Indian markets. The markets where, if you go and check the numbers, right? Start checking the stats on these things. Samsung is like the fifth, I think they're the fifth or sixth largest smartphone manufacturer in terms of sales in China and India. They're the fifth and sixth. They're number one in the rest of the world, right? But again, the two largest markets are China and India, and then the third is America, right? So in those markets, China and India, you look at Huawei's leading the charge, Xiaomi's leading the charge, Oppo, Vivo, OnePlus is up there. These are the companies, ZTE, these are the companies that everybody are buying devices from because you're getting flagship level specifications and great quality products, and you're getting it at half the price. And those guys like to change their phones all the time because, I mean, they live in the area where all of the devices are accessible to them. Whatever gets released and sent abroad to the international markets is only a small percentage. But all the devices that all of these manufacturers make stay in that region. Those guys can switch their phones up at the drop of a dime. And I mean, what's $300 US for a new phone every 4 to 6 months when something new comes out? You can change those things like you could change clothes. You know what I mean? So it's completely different over there. And that's the things that you guys have to keep in mind when you guys are looking at these smartphones. So when you see an Apple product and you see that, hey, a new MacBook is charging, $16,000 out here, it was never meant for you to pay those kind of prices or it was never meant for you to pay those kind of prices abroad. But at the same time, you're buying into the support, you're buying into the workshops, you're buying into the tutoring, you're buying into the Apple brand and what they're offering you. All right, so these are the things you guys got to keep in mind. So I really just wanted to touch on that. If you guys have any questions that you guys want to hit me up about or ask, or you guys just send me a message. Rajesh, I see your last message. I know when they said that, I was just like, okay then, which I know is not true, and I walked out of the store. Yeah, correct, man. Like a lot of these guys, I mean, and that's why I got to put pressure on B Mobile and Digicel by making these blogs, you know, and reminding them that, yo, there are people watching. There are people that are expecting you guys to lead the charge in the Caribbean. You guys are you guys are telecommunications carriers out here. You guys have to lead the charge. You guys got to do better. You know, it's not just about, you know, selling us a phone. It's not just about you giving us a SIM card and giving us a little service and running with it. You guys have to do so much better. In my blog yesterday, I was talking about TELUS. TELUS is a company back out in Canada. They've invested millions in learning centers because, again, they're not just focusing on selling one particular product. They're focusing on selling you the service and the products. But the only way you're going to maximize the technology is if you know about the technology. We complain so much in Trinidad, right? Let me show you how crazy this is. We complain so much in Trinidad about the lack of tech-savvy people. We complain so much that the bank lines are too long, right? And why don't these people go pay their bills, their TN Tech bill, their flow bills, digital bills? Why are these people going into the stores and ramming out the stores when they could just go online? Look, B-Mobile said they're closing out all their stores because 70% of all their transactions in stores are bill-related, right? But how do you want people to change their habits and trust the applications and trust the technology if nobody's talking about it, if nobody's showing it to you? I tried to, have you guys ever used the My Digicel app? It's the worst piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. That My Digicel app, whoever made the My Digicel app, slap yourself. It's not user-friendly. It's not user-friendly. Don't recommend it to me. Don't tell me about it. There's like 2 different logins I have to use. I never know which login you guys need because it's different from the online portal. It's a mess. I can never find my bill. I've never paid a bill through it. That is something where if I feel like that and I'm pretty tech savvy, I know there's hundreds, thousands of people that are probably feeling the exact same way. But then again, if nobody's ever showed you how to use it, then why do we expect people to just feel comfortable about jumping on the mobile apps and just using them? Especially when you're talking about bill payments. And out here when people are quick to say, well, you paid the wrong account or you did something wrong, like, nah, that's crazy. That's crazy. There has to be, there's got to be something put in place where people are actually showcasing the public on a major scale, how to properly use these applications and how to trust these applications, that it's going to do what they say it's going to do. J Dapper, phones are way too expensive in BMO and Digicel stores, so that's expected. And yes, the Digicel app is... It is. It is. I was talking to one of the heads in Digicel a little while ago, and he knows their plight, and he knows that, you know what, one of the things that he showed me, I've never talked about it, but I will now. He's like, when they came, because you guys know that Digicel is they're Irish, right? All of their heads are from Ireland, and they've decided to open up their business in the Caribbean and provide that service, right? So one of the things coming from Canada that I can agree with in our discussion that I had with him was, when you are coming from our markets and how people operate over there, coming down here, there's a big adjustment, and there's a lot of cultural adjustments that you have to take in mind when you are conducting business, especially something where you got to collect money from paying customers. But one of the things he said was that when they started out, he's like, they were doing a lot of device subsidy, but then when it came time for clients to pay their bills, nobody was paying their bills, and they lost millions because they were giving out the hardware for damn near free, and they were not being able to get any return on investment. And they had to change that up and start giving out the majority of that cost for the phone up front, and that's where they're at right now. So does it make sense? Does it make sense? I get it from their perspective. They don't trust that they're going to get a return on investment when they give you device subsidy. Right? Because at the end of the day, people down here don't really care about contracts, abroad, if you don't pay a bill, they're quick to put your credit scores. That takes a hit, and there's all these mechanisms in place to force you to pay your bills on time to keep a high credit score. And if these mechanisms aren't here in the Caribbean, people can pretty much just say, well, screw that, I'm not paying Digicel. I'll keep the phone. I'm not going to pay them. And what are they going to do about it? There's nothing that they're really going to do. It doesn't affect you in the long run, right? So they lose a lot of money. And that's why they're so focused. That's why Digicel only has 2 experience stores, Marava Road and the one that they just opened up in C3, right? Everybody else is retail partners. And they focus on that now. B-Mobile is doing the same thing, closing on all the experience stores and just working on the retail partners. So when you do that and you're putting the buck for these guys to provide the experience, that's asking a lot. And at the end of the day, we don't know. The reason why you see such a variation in prices is because if somebody selling phones decides to fly to Miami to go pick up phones, or fly wherever and pick up the phones, pack 200 phones in a suitcase, and fly them in and bypass customs, he could offer the cheapest prices, right? He could offer the cheapest prices. Then you have the people that are importing phones that have the link in customs, so when their product comes in, they could offer cheaper prices. But then you have the retailers that don't have the link and are not flying out to go bring those phones in. So when those phones come in through customs and they get, no Vaseline, they get that with no Vaseline, you have to price your products accordingly. And that's still going to be cheaper than B-Mobile and Digicel. They realize that, because they have to buy in bulk. So their prices, are going to be more for it to make sense for them. And that's why there's so many variations in prices, but it is what it is. That's just the hand we've been dealt. So you guys have to now really, really be diligent in what you guys purchase and how you guys purchase it, because at the end of the day, there's only 2 companies locally that have, actionable warranty, and that's Samsung and Huawei. And you have to have the Latin spec versions of those devices. So you can't say, well, you know what? The S8, I want the Snapdragon 835 model, and import that and think you're going to get warranty. You're not. You got to get the Latin spec version, which is the Exynos version. So, to my tech heads, those things matter. I want Snapdragon for a variety of reasons. Those things matter, and those are the things that you got to weigh out. So I get to the point now where I have no problem ordering my phones. I'll bring them in. Phones are getting really good now where I don't really get no problems on any of my devices. So I pretty much kind of trust that I'm going to be able to have them for a length of time. And then if something happens, I'll order the part and I'll go to a technician that I trust and have them change up something in my device. I'm not even really studying local warranty too much anymore, because the reality is, do I want to be limited to a Latin spec Samsung device, or do I want to be limited to a Latin spec Huawei device? Hell, and I don't even really, I'm using a Huawei Honor 8 Pro. I don't even really want to buy a P10 Plus when there's the Honor 8 Pro that's on the market. And there's a lot of other Huawei devices that are not in that Latin American market where I'm not going to get the warranty. So these are the things that we have to weigh when you're out in the Caribbean. So I've talked long enough. I think I've got all my points out that I wanted to say. Is Apple products overpriced in the Caribbean? Hell freaking yes. Are they worth it in the Caribbean? To me, hell no. Are they worth it abroad, where you have the support, where you have the Apple stores, where you have the workshops, where you have all of that ecosystem that you can get to help and support? Yes, they're absolutely worth it. They're absolutely worth it abroad. Are they worth it out here? To me, no. Because guess what? When you guys get blue screens of death, or you get any software products, guess what? Your local guys don't know what the hell to do. Back in Apple, if you came with the software problem, we never even fixed it. We just swapped it. So you guys are trying to connect cables and trying different ports and different computers to fix things through iTunes. iTunes ain't fixed nothing. It only gave you a headache. So we never fixed that back in Apple. Your local guys aren't going to be able to fix no software problems. So the support that you need for Apple, everything is worth it if you're doing it abroad. They're great products. They're worth it abroad. Out here, you really got to think about it. Anyways, I'm out. I'm going to see you guys in the next live stream. Again, if you guys have any questions, you guys know what to do. Shoot a message or hit me up. Peace out.